Hello, my name is Anna Underberg, and this is my Capstone project. The title of my project is Promoting Human-Wildlife Coexistence Through Environmental Education, Evaluating Outreach Effectiveness at PAWS. So let's get into it. All right. So for the background, human-wildlife conflict is a major issue that negatively impacts wildlife and their habitat. Examples of human-wildlife conflict could be anything really. It could be um, a moose getting hit by a car. It could be a raccoon digging through a trash can and eating the trash and getting sick from it. Um, really, just any example where um, the actions of humans impact wildlife in any way. And in most cases, these are negative impacts that happen. And with this in mind, educational outreach can foster empathy and accountability. So, a big important tool towards kind of combating these issues that arise from human wildlife conflict is just instilling a sense of empathy, awareness, and just overall making sure people are aware of the issue so that they can do better in the future and help prevent the issue. Well, a challenge that comes with that is that people often have selective empathy, where they choose to care for cuter animals over all animals. Like, for example, if you're driving your car, just think in your mind, would you rather hit like a common house pet, like a cat or dog, or a raccoon? So just things of that nature where certain animals are viewed as being more desirable over others. So with that also in mind, this project evaluates how outreach style influences perception and behavior towards wildlife, which then brings us to my question. How does direct engagement with PAWS staff influence public perceptions of human-wildlife conflict, and what trends emerge from interactive versus non-interactive survey methods? All right, and then that brings us to internship and methods section. If I can zoom in on that a little bit. There we go. All right, so for my internship, I was given a list of PAWS identified issues to research for my project. I completed many, many hours of independent literature review to determine which three issues I want to focus on, just because there's so many different examples of human wildlife conflict. I was then tasked with designing and distributing surveys at five different farmers markets in order to gauge the public, their perceptions, their opinions, all that good stuff. And I had three like main things I wanted to focus on. Knowledge of the issue, feelings towards the issue, and willingness to change slash combat the issue. So just trying to see, do people know about certain issues? Do they care at all? Like, to what extent do they care? And then are they at all willing to change their actions? So that was my main focus um, with the surveys. And then with that in mind, responses to my surveys were then taken and input into an Excel sheet in order to track just trends, averages, and then just differences between interactive and non-interactive survey types. And you might be asking yourself, what does that mean, interactive and non-interactive? So interactive surveys are surveys that are completed after interaction with PAWS staff. By interaction, I mean like environmental education. So somebody could come to the booth and then we give them a little spiel, about wildlife, human conflict, all those super fun topics. And then non-interactive surveys are surveys that are completed independently. So someone just appears at the booth, I hand them a survey, they fill it out, they leave. So pretty cut, pretty easy to understand. And then if we can kind of zoom in here, that's me at the one of the farmers markets. You can see in this picture I'm holding my survey, and then there's also other examples of environmental education within this picture. There's different pamphlets and just resources if you want to volunteer, if you want to find out more. There's links to like educational camps people could send their kids to, all that good stuff. Um, so it just kind of shows the overall that environmental education is not just like me blabbing at you. It's a lot more. There's tactical things you can touch. We had biofacts on the table, which, if you're not familiar, a biofact is like, a duck wing that was taken from a duck that was killed by humans, or a bear claw, or sorry, not bear claw, a bear skull from a bear that was hit and struck by a car. So just lots of different goodies on the booth to help draw people in so then they could take my survey. All right. And then, oh, come on. All right. So then we can go to the results section. Um, obviously a big part of my research and my question was just like interactive versus non-interactive, like how to what extent does education kind of help influence people's perceptions? Which brings us to figure one. Figure one shows concern level by survey type. And as we can see, the column that's interactive is a lot bigger than the non-interactive column. Um, so just by gathering data from my Excel sheet, it shows higher level of concern from participants who directly engage with pause staff, which is good, which is what we want to see. Um, Going on to figure two, this is a graph that shows people's perceptions towards wildlife trash consumption. So just, do you think people, or not people, do you think wildlife consumes a lot of trash? And then how does it make you feel? And then, as we can see here, respondents indicated higher levels of concern for wildlife trash consumption, as well as high levels of awareness surrounding trash consumption, which is good. People care and people are aware, which is what we like to see. And then going down here, figure three, this was a question asking perceived threat level of pets. Basically, do you think your pet is a problem? Do you think other people's pets are a problem? Pretty straightforward. And then with this graph, it shows that 42% of respondents feel that their pets are not a threat towards wildlife, compared to 59% of people who feel that other people's pets are a threat. So it's just kind of an example of yes, people are aware, but there's a little bit of discrepancy in who is actually perpetuating the issue, which I found interesting. All right. And then going over to figure four, this is a graph showing support for pet control measures. So, it was a 1 to 3 scale. Do you support it? Yes, maybe, and no. And all the responses showed very high levels of support for conservation efforts to protect wildlife from domestic pets. That's what you see where it says support fence. That's a conservation effort, just keeping your pets in a fence, keeping them away from wildlife. Kind of similar with the leash question, just keeping your pets on a leash so they can't run away and attack a squirrel, stuff like that. So people are very overwhelmingly in support. And if people are not in support of these control measures, they responded with a maybe, which could mean they're not sure, they don't know how they feel, they need some more information. But nobody responded no, which is good, which means that people care and they want to make an effort to do better, which I think is great. All right. So then, oh my gosh, don't zoom in that far. All right. So then we go to takeaways. As I kind of touched on, there's high levels of concern in figure one. This shows the effectiveness of environmental education and outreach initiatives on promoting healthier perceptions towards wildlife. Just the fact that the column has a higher value for the interactive surveys indicates that, you know, environmental education, face-to-face contact with staff, explaining all that good stuff makes people more aware or care more for the issue. And then for figure two, there are responses in the 2 to 5 range, which kind of communicates a little bit of wildlife bias. Maybe people don't care, they don't think it's so much an issue. When I found that this is largely due to like the animals are being affected. A lot of foraging animals, which are, like possums, squirrels, raccoons, animals that people kind of deem to be more like nuisance or pests. So this just shows, there's less concern from the public, which communicates that there needs to be a little bit more education on, the importance of these animals, importance of preventative measures, all that good stuff. And then all the results from figure four, regardless of the survey type, regardless of interactive versus non-interactive, the results from this survey showed that it doesn't matter really who you are, how much you know, what you know, people are willing to make positive changes in support of wildlife, which is good. And then finally, the implications for PAWS. For PAWS's education team that does these outreach initiatives, PAWS should continue to promote interactive education that emphasizes the ecological importance of all species, including those that are often misunderstood or disliked, such as the foraging animals. Paul should continue promoting awareness of biodiversity's interconnectedness to help foster more inclusive conservation values among the public. And then finally, surveys, pamphlets, and biofacts all help to draw in the public and encourage them to engage and interact. So, this overall outreach is proven to be effective. Environmental education is a very valuable tool for helping to prevent these kind of interactions from happening, these human wildlife conflicts from happening. And then, yeah, so that's my project that I worked on. Sorry, I don't have a better conclusion to that. And then I would also like to thank my site supervisor, my faculty advisor, and my family. So yeah, thank you. How do I stop this? I think I ended it. I don't know how to end